Hi Anatomy, this is Miss Satterley. I'm going to go through the 26 different tissue types and identify them for you. Most of you were in class and you already have this done. If you want to watch it just to get a review, you can. Some of you need to watch this to finish labeling your tissue note cards. This is our first one. So the arrow is pointing at our layer of tissue. So when you look at these tissues, you're actually going to see multiple tissue types, but we need to focus on the ones that are relevant for each tissue. So this is simple squamous. Remember that simple means single. And our three types of epithelial cells are squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. And squamous is flat or squished. So the layer it's pointing at is a single layer of flat cells. So simple squamous epithelium. This is stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified is multiple layers of the same cell type. You can see at the top there are multiple layers of flat cells. It actually is what your skin is consisted of. So this is stratified squamous epithelium. Our next type is cuboidal cells. The center of these, they look like circles. Those are called lumen, which is the empty space. Those are parts of vessels or ducts, and this happens to be found in the kidney. But if you look, this is a single row of cube-shaped cells, simple cuboidal epithelium. This one, you can see the lumens, they're smaller. This is in sweat glands or sweat ducts, but if you look carefully at the pictures, those are actually multiple layers of cube-shaped cells. So this is stratified cuboidal epithelium. Next one is simple columnar. So here's our single row of column-shaped cells. This is called a free surface. Epithelial tissue always has a free surface or a side that is an opening or a lumen. So we have one row of column-shaped cells. So this would be simple columnar epithelium. This next one is stratified columnar epithelium. It does look kind of squished, but if you look right here, this is a nice spot where you can see the multiple column-shaped cells. So this is stratified columnar epithelium. Now this one is a tricky one. This is pseudo-stratified epithelium. At the top you have cilia. This is actually found in the trachea. Now this is called pseudo-stratified columnar because it looks like multiple cells, but in reality it's actually only a single layer that has long cells, short cells, and everything else. Pseudo means false, so this is a false layering. This is pseudo-stratified columnar. Transitional epithelium. Transitional is found in the bladder. It has the ability to stretch and recoil back to its original shape without losing any kind of elasticity. The top portion here, these are kind of big fluffy cuboidal cells, and they get smaller as you go down. But this is transitional epithelium. Now we're going to look at the three types of muscle. This is skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is comprised of really long muscle fibers that are multinucleated. So you can see there's many muscle fibers, and the dark purple are the nucleus. But also you can tell it's skeletal muscle because there are striations, which are the lines inside the muscle fiber. Our next one is cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle looks similar to skeletal muscle, except it has some unique features, one of them being intercalated discs, and these are the lines that seem to run through the dark red, almost purplish lines, such as right here and right here. So those are all intercalated discs. They also have branching, which is a little hard to see, but you can tell just by looking at it. Skeletal muscle fibers are very straight, stacked on top of each other, and cardiac muscle has branching in it. Last one is smooth muscle. Smooth muscle characterized without having striations. cardiac and skeletal muscle both have striations. There's only one nucleus per cell, and they are comprised of, they have some empty space of connective tissue in the smooth muscle. So this is a smooth muscle tissue. Now we're going to talk about the connective tissues. Connective tissues have specialized cells. They have an extracellular matrix, and that is how they're all classified together. So this first one is adipose. Adipose is fat. The reason these cells look empty is because fat does not preserve. So you're actually just seeing empty fat cells that once at one time had lipids in them. This is adipose. And adipose has specialized cells called adipocytes. Next one is compact bone. Compact bone kind of looks like a tree to me. That's how I always describe it. The dark brown circles are called the central canal, which is the inside of the osteocyte. And the osteocyte is the specialized cell found in tissues. The little brown dots are called caniculi, and those are another part or feature of compact bone. We also have spongy bone. This is actually a highly magnified picture of spongy bone. This is a single, what's called a trabeculae, and this is part of spongy bone itself. And there's also spaces within. Spongy bone is basically bone marrow, so this is on the inside of your bones. Next, we'll talk about the three types of cartilage, which are hyaline, elastic, and fibrocartilage. Hyaline cartilage is characterized by having an extracellular matrix that is empty, so it looks clear or glassy, which is what hyaline means. The cells inside all three types of cartilage are called chondrocytes, and that's because chondro means cartilage. This is elastic cartilage. You can see the matrix looks like it has some purple lines running through it, and that's because it has elastic fibers in the matrix. So this is elastic cartilage. Last one is fibrocartilage. Fibrocartilage is unique because when it is stained, it is always blue. So that's a way to determine what is fibrocartilage. Next one, I want to talk about the two types of fluid or liquid connective tissue. That includes blood and lymph. So this is a picture of blood. Your blood is mainly composed of erythrocytes, which is a fancy word for red blood cells, but you also have lymphocytes in them, which are white blood cells, or a type of white blood cells, and other types of leukocytes, which is what a white blood cell is. Now, red blood cells actually don't have a nucleus, and they have a concave surface in order to hold more oxygen, so they're missing the contents of them. But you can see these leukocytes or white blood cells are much larger, and they do have the inside material of a cell. Now, lymph is another type of fluid. Lymph is actually a clear fluid that runs through your lymphatic system. It's found in your lymph nodes and then your lymph vessels. It does run almost side by side with your cardiovascular system, and it helps to increase or decrease the volume of blood by putting more lymphatic fluid in or out. Now, lymphatic fluid or lymph tissue is actually going to have lymphocytes in it, which are a type of white blood cell again, and they are purple. So they actually are these structures right here, just more grouped together. Lymph tissue is found in the spleen. Spleen is important for filtering out your blood and help keeping your body healthy. So again, lymph tissue is also a liquid tissue. Now, lymph and blood have a function in common, and they are both used for immune functions. Now, we're going to look at the rest of the types of connective tissue. We have loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. So this one is actually a lymph connective tissue. This is part of the spleen and liver. It's called reticular tissue. Kind of looks like a cherry tree. The purple dots, those are leukocytes or white blood cells again, most likely lymphocytes. And then the branching pattern are reticular fibers. So this is reticular tissue. This is also a loose connective tissue. This is called areolar tissue. Areolar tissue is characterized by large collagen fiber bundles as well as smaller elastic fibers. So the collagen is the red bundles and the purple fibers are the elastic fibers. There's also different types of cells found in areolar tissues, and we're not going to talk about those right here, but there's mast cells, lymphocytes, and other things that are suspended in the matrix. Now we have dense connective tissue. Dense connective tissue is lacking space. Dense connective tissue isn't going to have a lot of the openings that you see in these two types of loose connective tissue. It's very bunched together. There are three types of dense connective tissue that I'm going to talk about. Elastic tissue, which is this one, ligaments, and tendons. Elastic tissue is characterized by long elastic fibers without the tissue or within the tissue. If you can see closely, there's actually a little E at these two spots, and that's actually pointing at the different elastic fibers. So this is elastic tissue. Ligaments connect bone to bone. Ligaments have elastic tissue in them, and they're very strong type of dense connective tissue. Next one is a tendon. A tendon is similar to a ligament, except a tendon attaches muscle to bone. So ligaments attach bone to bone, while a tendon attaches muscle to bone. So it makes sense that a tendon kind of looks like our muscle tissues that we saw earlier. It's red, it's very close together, and you can see the nucleus throughout. So the last three tissues that we had are known as dense regular tissues. You also have dense irregular tissue. It's not quite a loose connective tissue, but it does have a lot of spaces. So this is a type of dense irregular tissue. There's large collagen fiber bundles you can see. So the large red bundles. But there's also some empty space that you can see in the white. This is dense irregular tissue. This is our last tissue. This is a nervous tissue or nerve cell. It has a large soma or cell body. Off of the soma, you have dendrites. So these are the dendrites coming off of it right here. This part of the nerve cell is actually going to receive information. It's processed in the soma, and then it's sent down the axon, and that's what this large structure is right here. Now you can see there's other little cells in here and more branching. That's because nervous tissue itself is not just composed of neurons. It also has neuroglia, which are supporting cells for the neuron that help repair it, give it nutrients, and fight off infection. So these are the 26 different types of tissues, and I tried to give you just a little overview of each one. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Bye.